We're back, and it's a pleasure to say we're joined by John Mills, one of our duty experts on a whole host of issues. Colonel John Mills, United States Army, retired, is a member of our Committee on the Present Danger of China. He is a senior fellow of our Center for Security Policy, and one of the people who, based both on his experience in the special operations of the United States Army and as a civilian in the Office of the Secretary of Defense, among other places, has equipped him to talk thoughtfully about a whole host of issues, but most especially about the challenges that we're facing from the Chinese Communist Party. And we're anxious to catch up with John at a time when it seems as though the Chinese are feeling their oats, shall we say, becoming more aggressive, certainly at the rhetorical level, and arguably as a precursor to other kinds of more aggressive behavior as well. John Mills, it's good to have you back. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Frank. Always an honor to be with you.
Thank you. Well, let me start by just asking you to sort of capture, if you could, John, these various conversations, shall we say, that the United States and China have been having in recent days at very senior levels, and the sort of takeaway in terms of what the Chinese are saying in the course of these conversations, as well as their likely perception of the kind of response they're getting from their American interlocutors.
Thank you, Frank. Well, essentially, what we saw over the weekend, last weekend, in the Shangri La dialogues was essentially a modern version of the 1938 Munich conference, the
Mm.
infamous scene where Chamberlain gets out of his plane and waves a document. I've got an agreement from the German leader. It's right here, and the infamous "It's peace in our times." And
Mhm.
a year later, the world collapsed into Armageddon. So it is. What we saw was the Biden team, this time led by Austin and senior staff officers from the Office of the Secretary of Defense. And I've been involved in a number of these kinds of venues. They were totally outmatched, overwhelmed. They were Blinkenized, like how Blinken was treated in Alaska, and it's sad, it's shameful. They don't know which way is up. They think they're being sophisticated, but they have no clarity or resolve. They don't even know or want or care about America. So how can you assert an American agenda when they don't care about America? And the Chinese know this. And then again, they went there to role play act, and they got roughed up pretty bad. And Chinese harangued them, uh, just treated them pretty bad.
Mhm.
And now we have the Chinese announcing essentially the Taiwan Straits, just like they did in the South China Seas, the air defense identification zone. Now the Straits are part of that, meaning you enter those, you have to call out on the radio frequency and essentially ask for permission. Now we're blowing that off in the South China Seas, but it's a huge incremental step.
Mhm. John, let me just come back to that in a moment. But staying with these meetings, in addition to Wei Fenghe, the defense minister of China, uh, excoriating Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, we had a top diplomat doing a similar number on Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor to the President. Yang Jiechi is his name. Um, what you're saying, I guess, is that as in the 1938 conference, what the West, in this case the United States, is conveying is a lack of resolve, a degree of sort of whistling past the graveyard, one might say, trying to pretend that what the Chinese are saying and threatening to do is really not operative. Tony Blinken, you mentioned the Secretary of State, of course, um, not so long ago, was laying out a major foreign policy address about China, in which he was talking about it as though it were, you know, talk about peace in our time, just a question of, competing and cooperating with these guys. Knowing the Chinese as you do, John, you're a serious student of these guys, and you've gone up against them and their ilk in the past. How are they perceiving this? Is it anything other than further emboldening them to believe that they will be able to have their way, not just with Taiwan and perhaps others in the region, but us as well?
Well, I saw a recent movie, kind of a perhaps a historical revisionist view of the 38 Munich conference. And in many ways, it portrayed Chamberlain as a hero who bought time, bought a year. Well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I'm not sure that's the way I look at it. So I think many, so they're slapping there. Well, boy, Chamberlain, he did a great job saving us. No, he didn't. He oversaw a government that was feckless, ineffective, and gave away Czechoslovakia without having asking the Czechoslovakians first. So I don't consider that heroic or good to the cause of freedom. Seeing very similar things here. Blinken, Jake Sullivan. I mean, come on, Jake Sullivan. They don't take Jake Sullivan seriously. The one of the centerpieces of Spygate, who led the spying against Trump, and then led part of the coup to overthrow him during his first term. Come on, the Chinese know what they're dealing with. They're lightweights. They're lightweights that don't even know what America is, and this is where we have to deal with this over and over again. This administration does not believe in America or American citizens. They are globalists first, and that's not just a glib, moniker. It has depth and meaning,
Mm,
because that's the problem with this administration. They don't care about the average American citizen.
yeah, this is a deeply searing indictment, I think, and unfortunately, I believe you're absolutely right about it. John Mills, we have to take a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk more about this business of carving up this Taiwan Strait and other areas of the Western Pacific and what that portends as well. That and more right after this.